All right, so today we're diving into something that I think is super relevant to, well, pretty much everyone who's ever had a job or wants to have a job.
You got that right. Absolutely.
We're talking mastering the art of like professional talk,
Yes.
specifically nailing those job interviews. And then once you get the job, like really crushing it in all those workplace conversations.
Exactly. Yeah.
So think of this deep dive as your secret weapon to, ooze confidence and sound really polished in like every professional situation.
Totally. And we're going to equip you, our lovely listeners, with those key strategies, insights, and practical phrases. So you can, not only ace that next job interview, but just generally navigate all your professional interactions with, real finesse.
Okay, so just to lay it all out, we're going to be focusing on two main areas.
Right.
First, we'll tackle how to absolutely dominate those job interviews, like turning those nerves into like pure opportunity. And then we'll move on to mastering those everyday workplace conversations, like how to be super professional,
Absolutely.
even in tricky situations like conflict resolution.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, so let's jump right in, shall we?
Let's do it.
Job interviews, let's be real. They can be kind of scary.
Oh, absolutely.
Like that feeling of being under the microscope. It can be super nerve-wracking. But let's talk about the, I guess, the biggest source of stress.
Okay.
Those classic job interview questions, So what are some like effective strategies for really crafting impactful answers?
So in my experience, the biggest mistake I see people making is they don't build what I like to call compelling narratives.
Oh, I understand.
They just kind of list their past responsibilities, without any real context or impact.
Right.
And interviewers, they don't just want to hear a timeline of your tasks, right? They want to understand how you think, why you did what you did, and most importantly, what were the actual results? Like, what was the impact?
Got it.
Storytelling is key here. It's how you really communicate your value.
Makes sense. So it's not just about like listing things off your resume.
Exactly.
It's about painting a picture.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so where do you see this storytelling skill like really coming into play?
Well, one of the most common places is with that seemingly simple opening question, tell me about yourself.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
It can be tricky.
It can, because the mistake people make here is they either ramble on,
Right.
or they just kind of, recite their resume, which is boring.
Yeah.
What really works is to think of your answer as a movie trailer.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah, it needs to be short,
Okay.
engaging, intriguing, and leave the interviewer wanting more.
So how do we like create this amazing trailer?
A really helpful framework is what I call the present, past, future approach.
Present, past, future. Okay.
Start by describing your current role and highlight your key areas of expertise.
Okay.
Then move on to your major past accomplishments.
Right.
And make sure you quantify your impact whenever possible. Use numbers,
Okay. Yeah.
And finally, tie it all together with your future aspirations. Show how your career goals align with the role you're interviewing for.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So can you give us like a concrete example? Like, let's say someone's interviewing for a marketing manager position.
Okay, a strong answer could sound something like this.
Okay.
Currently, I'm a marketing analyst at XYZ Corporation,
Okay.
where I focus on developing and executing data-driven campaign strategies.
Okay.
In my previous roles, I honed my skills in consumer psychology and advanced analytics,
Makes sense.
which led to a flagship campaign that increased engagement by a whopping 35%.
Oh, wow.
Moving forward, I'm really excited about opportunities where I can combine these data insights with compelling storytelling to create truly impactful marketing initiatives.
Oh, that's really good. Like it's concise, well-structured, and it shows your value really clearly.
Right.
Okay, so let's move on to another tricky question that always seems to come up.
Okay.
What is your greatest weakness?
The dreaded weakness question. Designed to test your self-awareness, and your maturity.
Right.
The cliche answers like, I work too hard, or I'm a perfectionist.
Oh, yeah.
Those just don't fly anymore.
No.
They sound insincere and kind of make everyone roll their eyes.
So what's the right approach?
The key is to choose a real weakness, but frame it as an area for growth.
Okay. So not like beating yourself up.
No, but showing that you're self-aware and actively working on improving.
Got it.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of how to do that well?
Sure, you could say something like, In the past, I sometimes struggled with delegating tasks effectively
Okay.
because I wanted to ensure everything was done to my exact standards.
Hmm.
However, I've realized the benefits of empowering my team and fostering a more collaborative environment,
Yeah,
which ultimately leads to better outcomes.
makes sense.
So now I'm actively working on finding a balance between hands-on involvement
Okay.
and strategic oversight and constantly refining my delegation skills.
That's great. It shows you recognize a weakness,
Yeah,
but you're also taking steps to address it.
exactly.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit now and talk about workplace communication.
A crucial area.
Yeah, because acing the interview is just the first step, right?
It is.
Once you land the job, being able to communicate effectively and professionally
Yes,
is absolutely essential.
absolutely.
And I think one common challenge is interpreting tone, especially in written communication like emails
Mm-hmm.
or even in meetings.
Right, because you don't have those nonverbal cues to help you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, if someone says, "We need this done soon,"
Oh, yeah, that's a classic.
it's so vague, right?
It is.
Like, are they stressed, annoyed, or just being matter of fact?
Right, it's open to interpretation.
Yeah, so how do we avoid these kinds of misunderstandings, especially in written communication?
One really effective strategy is to use what we call politeness markers.
Politeness markers. Okay.
Things like, would you mind? Or could we possibly?
Okay.
These phrases just add a touch of courtesy and soften your requests or questions.
Right. It's like a subtle shift in language,
Yeah, exactly.
but it makes a big difference in tone.
It really does.
What about like managing expectations?
Oh, that's crucial.
Yeah.
Vague statements like, I'll send it soon, just create confusion.
Yeah, and potential disappointment. So
Exactly.
what's a better way to handle that?
Be specific. Instead of saying soon,
Okay.
give a clear time frame.
Got it.
Like, I'll send the report by 3 p.m.
That's much clearer.
It is, and it shows professionalism and accountability.
Okay, and what about apologies? We hear them all the time in the workplace.
Yeah, while it's important to apologize when you've made a mistake,
Mm.
over-apologizing can actually undermine your credibility.
Really?
Yeah, it can make you sound unsure of yourself.
Interesting.
So instead of saying, sorry to bother you all the time, try something like, I appreciate your time. Could I ask a quick question?
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's still polite,
Mhm.
but more assertive.
I like it. Okay, so let's talk about something that's unfortunately inevitable in any workplace.
Oh, yeah.
Conflict.
Conflict.
It seems like it's just bound to happen.
It is, yeah.
So how do we handle those disagreements professionally?
Well, the key is to remember the golden rule of conflict resolution.
Okay, what's that?
Separate the person from the problem.
Okay,
Focus on the ideas, not the personalities.
that makes sense. So no personal attacks.
Exactly.
Can you give us an example of how to do this in practice?
Sure, instead of saying, you're wrong,
Right.
which is very confrontational,
Yeah.
try something like, I see your point, but I have a different perspective.
Mm.
It acknowledges their viewpoint
Yeah.
while still allowing you to express your own.
It's much more constructive.
It is, and it promotes open dialogue rather than an argument.
What about active listening? What role does that play in resolving conflict?
Active listening is crucial for de-escalating misunderstandings. By truly hearing and trying to understand the other person's point of view,
Right.
you show them respect,
Mm-hmm.
and you create an environment where you can find common ground.
Got it.
Use phrases like, just to clarify, are you saying,
Oh, yeah.
to make sure you're both on the same page.
That's a good tip.
It helps avoid those misinterpretations that can escalate into bigger conflicts.
Right, because sometimes it's just a matter of communication.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from nailing interviews to navigating tricky workplace conversations.
We have.
But let's zoom out a bit now and talk about career growth. Like, what are some proactive things our listeners can do to advance in their organizations?
One of the most important things is to be proactive about networking.
Networking, okay.
And I don't mean just going to events and collecting business cards. Right.
It's about building genuine relationships,
Okay.
finding mentors who can guide you,
Mm-hmm.
seeking out feedback to help you improve,
Yeah.
and positioning yourself for opportunities even before they're officially announced.
So it's about being strategic.
Exactly.
And what about office politics? Any advice for navigating that tricky terrain?
Office politics is something you can't really avoid.
True.
But you can handle it strategically.
Okay.
First and foremost, stay away from gossip.
Right. That's never good.
No, focus on building relationships based on mutual respect and value.
Okay.
Understand the power dynamics within your organization
Mm-hmm.
and align yourself with key decision makers. But do it ethically, of course.
Yeah, that's important.
It is.
Okay, well, this has been a really insightful deep dive. We've covered everything from conquering interview jitters
Yeah.
to mastering workplace communication and even navigating those sometimes choppy waters of office politics.
Cool. I think the biggest takeaway for our listeners is that communication is key in any professional setting.
It really is.
Whether you're in a job interview, a team meeting, or just having a casual conversation with a colleague.
Right.
Clarity, confidence, and intentionality are so important.
They make all the difference.
So as you go about your day to day, think about how you can apply these communication strategies to really elevate your professional game.
In your interactions.
Yeah, because even small changes can have a big impact.
They can.
All right. That's all for today's deep dive.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
See you next time.
Bye.